Ooh, Alex Kurtzman, what do you have to say about the Star Trek platform? He's just sitting there. He's just sitting there, and he thinks we're not going to watch this. He thinks we're not going to sit here and watch this and correct every single word that comes out of his mouth, everything that they say. We're not going to dissect every moment of the Star Trek at Home panel. Hello, everyone. I am Mecha Random 42, the one, the only, the original, still your favorite YouTube consumer advocate, Harpy. And I have a few notes that I was taking, and my voice is really gone from screaming about this for the last few hours, but I am going to talk about the Star Trek panels and what's coming from the lower decks, from Picard, and from Star Trek Diversity. Why do I call it Star Trek Diversity? Because that's all that's important. That's all that matters. And they're using their Star Trek platform to advertise their activism. I have to come in and remind them that you're making a TV show to entertain me and enlighten me and lift me up and give me a hopeful, optimistic look at the future. And no matter how many times you say that, you kind of have to understand what that means. And you can't just keep repeating it back all the time without me. Oh, delayed. It's close enough. Can you have the theme music? Oh, yeah. There, that's on cue. Alex Kurtzman, the writer, producer, showrunner, the interferer in all things Star Trek, has been asked, what is coming on these new Trek shows? What is coming from this new Trek series? Right now, he's talking about the Strange New Worlds show. You know, the one that's supposed to have Anson Mount, and he's playing Captain Pike. You know, the Captain Pike that ends up in the chair from the cage. You know, the cage that they're so set on. And now Alex Kurtzman has been asked, first off, what do we know about Strange New Worlds? What's happening with that? Here is his answer with this Strange New Worlds series, which is a spin-off of the alternate dimension-ish, but not really. They are and they're not, you know, if you ask Alex Kurtzman. The version of Pike and Number One, and, you know, the version of Spock where he smiles. That version of Spock. The Spock that likes science.
I like science.
You know, that Spock. What does Alex Kurtzman have to say?
The room has started. There are 10 stories broken, which is very exciting. And they're just sort of at the beginning, but
10 stories broken. Well, it's not just that. We do have a preview of the new Strange New Worlds series that's going to be about hope and optimism in a future of Star Trek that we can look forward. I can't even keep a straight face. Here's the promo.
Coming to CBS All Access. From the makers of Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard,
sheer fucking hubris,
and Short Treks. Comes a new series that's more of the same old, same old. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Coming to CBS All Access, if it still exists.
Yeah, good luck on being able to film that with the great cough of 2020 and the amount of distance you need to have in social gatherings and situations to even be able to film that. And what network is it going to be on again? I mean, because CBS All Access is probably getting incorporated into something much larger. And on top of that, where exactly are you getting the money to make it? But, you know, okay, so they have new Star Trek coming. Got it. They are working on this. I am looking forward to memeing the crap out of that one and having fun with it. Now, what else are they talking about on these panels? I guess we have to talk about the Star Trek Diversity panel. I mean, Discovery. Excuse me, what am I thinking? They're out there discovering strange new worlds all the time. They're out there seeking new life and new civilization, and not just being there because the label is inclusive and representative. What am I thinking?
Working on a show that has a message that really matters and really...
Wait, I thought it was about stories. Oh, it's just about the message? See, and this is what I'm talking about right here. This is all you hear about is inclusion, diversity, outreach, platforms. Our business is to tell you all of these social issues. We have to provide a social... No. Make Star Trek. The social stuff comes through the stories without being told that that's what you're doing. Because when you're saying you're making a statement, and especially when you're making a partisan statement, what you're doing is saying that anybody who might disagree with 1 or 2 points isn't welcome in your program. Here we go.
Outreach. I wanted to know what you guys think about the message of Star Trek in the America and in the world that we're living in today.
And who's this guy? I think he works for comicbook.com or Variety or one of those podcast show things.
I think we're all so proud to be...
Who is she? That's Heather Caden. She's one of the producers in show ponchos. There's like 27,000 producers who work on Star Trek. I'm not even kidding. I tried to count, and there was about 21 on one single episode. I know there was more.
Working on a show that has a message that really matters and really resonates. I think anyone...
The message of exploration and finding new life forms and ways to be better. Oh, no. It's just about modern day
does what they do
messages.
On this side of the camera, on the other side of the camera is hoping to say something. And I think what's great when you're working on genre is you often get to say things about current events and mask them so they don't feel like medicine.
Yeah, but you guys don't do that, though. You are one of the most heavy-handed, beat you over the head with the message. Hey, diversity. This is why I call it Star Trek diversity, because that's all it matters. That is all it boils down to, for at least for the discovery portion of these Trek shows. And that's all that really matters for a lot of them.
Or that you're being taught something. And I think in the case of Star Trek, thematically, it's just been baked into what Star Trek is, about a better hope, about equality, gender equality, racial equality, sexual equality. I mean, it's...
Okay, you know how they did that? By not going around saying, I'm a label, look at my label, look at my label replaces my genuine people personality with a label that reduces me only to that. You know what I see when I watch these Star Trek panels? Now I'm counting the diversity. Now I'm counting and I'm looking and making sure to see, oh, is this character of color voiced by a character of the same color that they're supposed to be? That's all you're doing. You are just making it so much that it's focused on that. It's like, no, it was the bigger picture that stuff was already worked out. Now you're going back hundreds of years into our time, into present day, to make it so focused on these diverse, equality, gender, racial, blah, 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 blah. I'm turning into a vampire here. Oh my God. Because of all of this garbage. Again, and we're not against it. Star Trek always had it. Star Trek always had diversity, inclusion, and to remind people constantly of that, it just reduces your show to that's what it's all about. It is such a heavy-handed message that when that's all there is, you forget everything else, right? You had stories on Deep Space Nine that were just father-son stories. You had, but still could showcase a culture that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know anything about Creole cooking at all until I saw it on Deep Space Nine. I'm like, oh, that's really fascinating. And Cisco happens to be my favorite captain because he punched Q and was kind of awesome and badass. You know, I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, I'm looking at a captain of a different ethnic background than myself. I wasn't thinking that when I used to watch Star Trek. Now, that's all I can see. I only see what you're presenting to me because that's all you're focused on. You're focusing so much on the message and you're not focused on the story. You're focusing on using your platform of Star Trek to advertise your activism. You're using that as an excuse to do your activism. I guess a better example would be like going in and saying, you know what, I'm going to go buy Star Wars and I'm going to come in and enforce all my stuff on it. I'm going to use this. Meanwhile, I'm going to shake all the old fans off of me like I'm shaking a Pokeball. I'm just going to shake them off of me. You don't shake Pokeballs. What am I talking about? I'm going to shake them off of me because they're not good enough. They're just ists and phobes because they don't like my message. Even though the message was always there in a way that didn't beat you over the head with it, and it was also there in a way that didn't talk down to you. if they thought that you were on another side. It was a way to kind of enlighten people to both sides of an argument, where I might come in thinking one thing in one way, I'm a Star Trek fan. I grew up with that sort of background and that thinking anyway, right? I grew up in Colorado, for crying out loud. I got a sitar and a Woodstock guitar back there behind me. I would like to say I'm a little bit not as whatever they think I am, as they think I am. And that's the point. You could go into Star Trek and you could see the other side of the argument and understand where somebody's coming from. And they talk so much about diversity and inclusion, but they have no diversity in how they think or feel or treat others. They have this holier than thou righteousness where we care more about the message than we care about anything else. We don't care about making money. We don't care about making a show that people want to watch just for fun. We don't care about even putting out there an action-packed whatever, even though Star Trek never really was focusing on action. Yeah, they don't care about any of that. They don't care about replacing any of the older Trek tropes with something new coming in. They only care about their message. And this is what you see time and time again in this presentation from Comic-Con in every single panel. And it gets old. It gets old and disgusting when you just reduce people to the label.
It's what it is.
And you know, we've seen in the past few weeks that we've seen on the Star Trek social media platforms, hashtag Star Trek United. Alex, can you give us a sense about what that is telling?
All right, they're talking about in this clip using the Star Trek United hashtag as a way to promote the activism that the show is advertising. The show is only used to advertise their activism behind the scenes. And this is why you have such a toxic workplace that we've been reporting on and talking about through rumors, through various sources, through encounters like when they didn't even bother to give Walter Mosley a phone call after he walked out. He was called into HR, and they didn't really care that he left because he wasn't part of their clique.
Star Trek, really since its inception, has always it's endeavored to speak to the vision that we are all fortunate enough to live in every day. It's unfortunately not the vision that the rest of the world is living in, but we live in this perfect world where, as Heather said, everybody really is united, and a lot of the differences that are dividing us these days are gone.
Yeah, but okay. I don't think he understands what they're talking about. I don't think so, because if you look outside now, I'm hearing how everything is horrible. So which way is it? Are you talking about the world of Star Trek or the world of today? Because see, this is where it gets confusing too, because they go back and forth so much. And their version of Star Trek, especially in Picard, for example, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't anywhere near. They had to break the entire world of Star Trek to enforce and incorporate todayisms, today's political divides, today's cultural divides, today's labels versus don't label me sort of people. They had to go in and break the show. So I don't even know what the crap he's talking about here, because I'm hearing how horrible everything is now. And I see pretty much the same thing mirrored in NuTrek, aka Fake Trek, aka Murder Trek.
So Star Trek United is an effort to bring awareness to many of the organizations that are critical right now.
Why do you have to? Why do you have to? Why can't you use the Star Trek way of presenting both sides of the argument in an intelligent and informed manner, in ways using alien cultures, using other sort of things without beating people over the head with it, in a way that somebody can say, hey, that kind of reminds me of this situation. Maybe I should think about this topic a little bit differently in the future. You know, bringing people to it. You don't have to force everybody to your will all right now, all at the same time. You don't have to triple down on everything, because this is exactly why all of this upcoming new Trek is just garbage. I'm not getting the partisan stuff from the Orville. And, you know, here, let's put it out there right now. Seth MacFarlane, who's writing and creating and in charge of the Orville right now, his political leanings are very similar to the people here. All right, I'm just going to say that, who work and are on the Star Trek side. The difference with Seth MacFarlane is he sees both sides of an argument. He sees and presents both sides of an argument in a way that people can kind of come to a conclusion. He finds the happy middle. He finds the happy medium on a lot of the Orville episodes. Look at how they handled the Mocklans. The Mocklans is a society of males where they go in and they surgically alter. And they found that they've surgically altered a lot of males on their population who used to be female. That's one of the ways that you can talk about those sort of things, those sort of cultural issues, in ways that are just alien enough to make it not beat you over the head with it, and just alien enough to kind of bring in some sort of a hypothetical of what you might do in a situation or how you might think in a situation, without forcing you to have that conversation all the time, every time, constantly. And this stuff.
Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, a lot of our cast speaking to that, Star Trek speaking to it. The goal is not really to promote Star Trek, but to promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these very, very important.
Right there. He's saying it's right there. You're talking about Star Trek is no longer a show. It is a piece of propaganda. You're flat out admitting it. And how is this entertainment? How can I come in as a fan of a science fiction show that does have some moments where I can think? It does have episodes like Drumhead coming in, and it does have episodes like Measure of a Man where I can come in like, okay, do androids have souls? Do they have rights? Do we treat this being any differently than we would this other being? And you can kind of use that as allegories of, oh, what about animals? Or what about whatever you might want to use that as in a conversation that you can actually start to think. But at the end of the day, you're still like, oh, Data's cool, it's funny. And Worf says something funny, and I laughed at it because it's Star Trek, isn't it?
Sir, I protest. I am not a merry man.
And it has some funny moments, and it has some compassion moments, and it has some human moments, and it has some human moments in very alien situations, and it has some very uplifting moments, and that is not anything that current Star Trek does. They just are message. Give me something uplifting. Give me something to distract me from the message. I got the message. I'm tired of the message. You're going to make me stop caring about the message completely. And you know what happens when I stop caring about the message? Then I start to rebel and laugh at you because you're a bunch of lunatics going around trying to satanic panic me. You're trying to get me to conform to your side, or else my soul is going to be lost. Also, thank you so much for subscribing. If you guys do like my content, like, subscribe, share. I really appreciate it. This is going to be a longer video. No, this is the same type of thing of the satanic panic where they just force you onto their side, whether you're there or not. And I don't like being forced into anything because guess what? I might disagree with you on one or two things. I might view the way you use the LGBT card as just a token diversity hire, right? That's how I might see it, and I might not want to be reduced to my label. But when you see and hear an activism over and over, you see this all the time. You are distracting from the point of making a TV show. You're trying to make a TV show to entertain people at the end of the day. And this is why I tend to rate things on how entertained I was. You're not making something that is a quality piece of entertainment that I can use and learn something from if I choose to, but still be entertained by the end of the day. Because you're giving me something that just is the lowest common denominator, lowest intelligence, gobbledygook of writing, that just spews nonsensical garbage. You'll have Michael Burnham say 20 things and then counteract one or two of the things, or contradict one or two of the things. Like, oh, we need to not shoot him because then he'll be a martyr. And then she goes and shoots him and makes him a martyr when dealing with the Klingons on the Klingon ships. This is the problem. You guys don't know what you're doing. And we heard this time and time again. We kept hearing this, even from people like...
shield design. You can see it in the wave patterns.
Like the Michelle Paradises. And this just goes on and on and on. And when you get into it, I don't even need to hear it. It's just more of the same. It's like, okay, the diversity, and then we need to bring a message. Same thing with Star Trek Discovery. They don't even know what the crap they're doing in season 3. They can't say anything, obviously, but we get it. Star Trek's about activism now. It is about using the product to advertise to the right group of people that you want to market your activism to. It is nothing more than a 45-minute infomercial. I'm going to talk about I think Lower Decks is going to be its own video. I think Lower Decks is going to be its own video. Picard, we're going to throw Picard in here too. More of the same. It is more of the exact same. It is more of the same. It's going to be all about... The tokenism is going to be all about bringing in modern day stuff. And you got Drunk Deanna here. You know, this is kind of worth it if you want to watch the Picard panel. It's about as fun as watching them the Discovery one was so heavy-handed. You can tell that one's for the younger people. This one, they lightened up just a little bit, but not much.
No, I knew that Patrick was at the top of his game, and I loved working with him. And then Marina had just closed in a play in the West End. I knew that her acting muscles were pretty strong, and I was a nervous wreck to come back.
All right, now they're talking about coming back in as, well, Riker, were you nervous to come back? There was a highlight, though, was kind of drunk Marina Sirtis, or whatever she is, just kind of piping in her 2 cents. This was kind of funny. They're asking him about what's it like to come back, so.
As Wild Bill Riker, Space Cowboy.
You don't get that title this season, my friend.
Excuse me. I was the Space Cowboy. Full of daters. I was Durango. What was it? Something strange.
Yeah, and a fistful of datas. That was a fun episode. It was fun. It was funny. It was one of those fun moments on Star Trek where it wasn't all about the message. See, this is what they forget. This is what they forget when they're going on and on about, oh, it's about the message, just about the message. It always had a message. Yes, but it wasn't only about the message. They were still trying to tell you a fun story. And you know what? This guy who is interviewing them doesn't seem like he's seen Star Trek that much.
Sure, yeah, in a cowboy with the hat and everything. So, sod you lot, I was the cowboy.
I think technically Steve Miller was the Space Cowboy, to be honest, but nonetheless.
Actually, no. She's talking about this. He's misunderstanding. He hasn't seen much Star Trek, has he? He's a huge fan and all, but I think he just forgets that one. I think, yeah, I gotta do a video. Do you want me to do a video breaking down the Lower Deck stuff? I am Mecha Random 42, and we get it. Your show is all about activism, is an advertisement for your activism. I'm tired of it. We know it. Just stop. It's getting old. Come on, Alex. What are you thinking? What are you doing, people? Alex Kurtzman's and all the people. We don't care anymore. I don't care. You guys don't care. I am Mecha Random 42. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Sorry, this is a longer one. I will see you guys on the next video, live stream, or wherever. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!